Now it's to Levinson for Fulham. Played inside for Marsh. Looking around, seeing who he can pick up. Decides to go in. Oh my goodness, what a goal! Oh, what a tremendous goal by Marsh!
Welcome to the Legends Lounge. It's our first one. We've got two international managers as our guests. I don't know, I'm laughing when I say that. But it's not going to be, first of all, it's sponsored by Mad Dogs and Englishmen. It's our local pub that Mark and I will be going to after our little show here. And we're doing it from the Oxford Exchange in Tampa, Florida. Okay. It's not going to be, the Legends Lounge is not going to be about all tactics and 4-2-4s and all that. It's going to be about up close and personal, okay? It's going to be much more like that than the normal football show. It's going to be unfiltered. The two international managers we talked about are Roy Hodgson, who goes without saying, what an illustrious career, Roy Hodgson, and Les Strong, who nobody knows why he's being called an international manager. So the first question is, guys, because our fans of our show, they've all said they want to be much more personal than the peripheral stuff. So, first of all, have you been divorced?
He's been waiting to say that for. He's been waiting to say that for months.
That's not going to be a funny show.
It's a little joke, just a little joke to start with. So, why don't we? I was going to go to Roy first and ask Roy about. I'll do that anyway. Roy and Mark, you can go strong. Roy, when we all start football as a young, we have teams that we follow and you know, we like players. When you were a young man, who was the team that you followed?
It was Crystal Palace, wasn't it? Because I lived quite close to the ground. It was a 20-minute walk from where I live. So my father took me there for the first time when I was about 6. We used to go with some neighbours, and a troop of us would walk down to watch both the first team on one Saturday, and then we watched the reserve team, of course, the following Saturday, because that's how it was in those days. So Crystal Palace was very much the first club that I followed.
Yeah. Soggy?
Well, I'm from South London and played for South London, and anyone who played for South London either went to Millwall or Crystal Palace. And I went to Crystal Palace when I was 14, trained at the ground, and at 15, Arthur Rowe, who was in charge of the youth team, Mark, you might remember.
Yeah, I do.
Said to me, you're not going to make it, son, so we're letting you go. And they let me go at 15. At 16, I ended up at Fulham. But as a kid, my cousin used to take me to Chelsea one week and Fulham the next. So I was a ball boy at Crystal Palace as well. So we have three of us have a Crystal Palace connection.
Absolutely.
And probably Fulham, I would say. Split with Chelsea at the time, but as soon as I signed for Fulham, that was it. So.
Roy, who was some of the players back then that you look up to as your young kid?
Well, the first one was a player. He was the best player, the number 10, I suppose, of the team at the time. I don't think that his name would be known to many people unless they are my age and Crystal Palace fan. His name was Johnny McNichol. But then after that, it was Johnny Byrne, of course. Johnny Byrne.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in my teens and still involved to some extent with the club. He was the one that I really looked up to. I thought he was such a talented centre forward, so technical, and in fact so much so that Bobby Howard and I sometimes would go to West Ham to watch him play when he moved on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. No, I mean it's just fascinating to me, you know, talking to you guys live, because I've only seen you guys on TV, and that's the God's honest truth. I mean, I am just like in seventh heaven doing this, and
well, there you go.
It's quite emotional.
No. Mark is my co-host, by the way. It's the first time he's been a co-host, and probably the last. But
Thanks very much. Have I got the tin tack?
No, not yet, pal. So, in terms of your early years, we got that, and Strongy, you told me a story that when you played for Fulham, you had a bit of a go around with Malcolm McDonald, who was the manager for a while there. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, Malcolm's only the. We know what a great player he was, but he was a commercial manager, and we had a bit of a wacky chairman at the time, Ernie Clay, and he made the commercial manager our manager. And the first thing, Tony Gow, who you all know, was the youngest ever captain at 18. And Malcolm took over, and he called me up to the office. He said, "Look, Les," he said, "I want to make a change. I'd like you to be my captain." And I said, "No, do you know what, Malcolm? I know Tony's dad, his mum, his sister." I said, "No, I wouldn't want it to affect his confidence." I said, "I don't need an armband to be captain." I said, "Just leave it as it is." He said, "Well, if you don't take it," he said, "I'm going to give it to someone else." So I said, "Malcolm, just leave things as they are. You're disrupting things." He said, "I'll give you extra £100. I went, "I'll have it." And Tony Gow still got the ump to this day. Yeah.
Roy, when did you first get into coaching? Oh, I've got to ask you that question as well. I went to Lillishall back in the day when I was a young player. I went 3 years in a row, and in those days we had lecturers. We had a guy called Alan Wade. We had Don Howe. Remember Don Howe? Bobby Campbell was there as well. Malcolm Allison was there. And Roy, this really is one for you, because on the coaching side, Don Howe and Malcolm Allison got into this massive row argument about whether it's a coach or a manager, right? How big is a coach? How big is a manager? How important are either? What would you, in your own career, Roy, what would you put yourself down as? Or would it be both?
No, it would be coach, Rodney, because I moved, my first real coaching job was in Sweden. The word manager and the title of manager didn't exist really. It was, you were the person put in charge of the first team and the reserve team basically, and it was your job to coach the players, work with the players, select the teams, and there was no manager in the sense that we knew managers like you and Les would have known managers in your playing career, Mark, as well. So I was definitely a coach. I'm surprised that they argued about that, because I think, knowing them both, I think Don Howe and Malcolm Allison are two of the best coaches we've had, really. They were both very perceptive, they were innovative, they were before their time, really, both of them. So I can imagine having a lot of arguments about minor tactical moments, but I'm surprised they got into arguments about managers and coaches, because both of them had enormous success. Don Howe really did the double with Arsenal, but it was Bertie Mee as manager who got the credit, and the same with Malcolm at Man City, when, as you will know, it was not, well, you can't remember one of those days where I forget names.
Joe Mercer, you think about Joe Mercer? Yeah, indeed.
Wow. That's awesome. I played for Malcolm Allison, for a little bit, and he was unbelievably kind to me personally. But it's a ruthless business, isn't it? The game. Just like we were talking a little bit before, Les. And you think you're going along pretty good, and all of a sudden, someone says, like, "I need to have a quick word with you," and boom, you're gone. It's like, it's just an amazing business, to be in, and it's so
a difficult time, isn't it? When you're a kid. Roy will know better than us, but some kids you let go and they end up becoming great players. There's loads of. You weren't let go anywhere, Marshy, was you? But
I have since I stopped playing.
You still get a free ticket though to go and watch the Rowdies.
Yeah.
Picking out kids, and you make a mistake, I suppose, do you?
Well, I don't know how people do it at the ages they do now. I've got to be honest. I don't know how the recruiters can watch a match where 7 and 8 year olds are playing and decide that they're going to be the ones for the future. I think it's dangerous in the sense that the parents, the kids need to dream, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's no problems really dreaming you're going to be a professional player. even though perhaps deep down you realise that I might not make it. But I think the worst thing is the parents being encouraged to believe that my kid's very special because at 8 years of age is at the Arsenal. And of course, when he gets released at the age of 12 or 13, or if he's very lucky, 15, 16, or he might be luckier still and get some sort of apprenticeship before he gets released. But, you know, the percentage, as we all know, of players who are really going to make it once they get that first step into professional football, into being a serious player like you three have all been, it's you're in the minority, and it's a minority that you should be very proud of being in. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
If I could just jump in for a
Of course
second.
you can, yeah.
You know, I was reading a little bit on your, I guess, Wikipedia maybe. I can't remember where I was looking, but it was absolutely fantastic to talk about your origins and all that stuff. And one of the names that came up was Steve Kember. And, you know, and he was a good friend of yours, went to the same school and all this stuff. And it was fantastic to...
Even more than that, we grew up together.
Yeah.
My father was a my father was a bus driver.
Yeah.
And his bus conductor, obviously they became quite close friends, and both of them at the time were living at home with parents. You know, don't forget, this is fairly shortly after the war, and it wasn't easy for people to get housing. But Dennis Kember, Steve's father, the bus conductor, he found this house, as I say, not far from in West Croydon, not far from Selhurst Park.
Yeah.
And there was an upstairs and a downstairs. So my dad and my mum got invited to join him there, and my sister wasn't born then, but was born shortly after. But Steve was there, and we had this backyard, and I'll never forget that we used to go and play football there as much as we could. Of course, always in trouble with balls going with the fence. You'll know those stories. I just remember one time I went on holiday with my parents in the summer. When I came back, Steve had sort of cleared out all the weeds and dusted it down. It was like a flat earth surface, and I thought he'd created Wembley somewhere in West Croydon. But we were together there for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Before Steve's father changed his job, and they moved to Balham, I think. And then, strangely enough, Steve came back to Shirley, very close to where I was in school, and he came to the same school. So he ended up actually playing matches on Wednesday afternoons for the school team.
Brilliant.
So just to tack onto that just a little bit, so Steve Kember's nephew, his name was Robin Kember. He was at Crystal Palace with me. We were around about the same age. And unfortunately, you know, he's one of those kids that was told, you're not going to make it, son, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I never got to meet Steve Kember until 2 years ago. And, well, actually, I played against him in Vancouver, I think in 79, something like that. But basically, I went out with him and Dave Swindler, sorry. We went out for a bite to eat, a few of us, Nicky Chatterton. And I looked at him in the eye and I said to him, Steve, I said, I've never met you before, mate, but it's almost like I've followed him around because, you know, I was born in Brixton. We move out to New Addington. I go to Fairchilds High School in New Addington, and all of a sudden we start all connecting up in, like, you know, playing for Croydon, playing for South London or whatever it might be, you know, all these different leagues and things. I've got all these pictures and articles and stuff, and I look them and I start looking at it and I go, oh, I remember that guy. He was a really, really good player. I mean, like, it's unbelievable how things have, like, just blown up over the years and become, you know, now, you know, we've all got videos and pictures that we take, and, you know, you can show your kids and your grandchildren all these different things that you did back in the day. It's just like, to me, I think it's wonderful to be able to share those times, you know, and I'm sure, you know, with both of you guys.
Stevie Kember. That was Stevie Kember you're talking about.
Yeah, Stevie Kember. You know, obviously he went over to Vancouver and played some football in Vancouver. You know, he was an idol of mine when I was a kid growing up. You know, and then all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden he packs up and goes over to Chelsea.
Yeah.
You know, and then shortly after that we get Paddy Mulligan, and Charlie Cook come over to Palace. You know, and it's just so like interwoven, all this stuff that went on.
It is, and it makes you. I mean, for Crystal Palace fans hearing this for the first time, obviously it is the first time. right?
Yeah.
It's something that they don't know. Strongy, you and I, transparency for transparency. When I go to London, which is like 2 or 3, 4 times a year, we always try and meet, the Fulham lads always try and meet up. And we go to a little restaurant called Frantoia in the King's Road. We have a lovely bit of lunch and a lovely, like 2 or 3 hours chat, one of us normally gets drunk. It might be me, but
There's a shot.
but Strongy was telling us this. Strongy, you tell us some lovely Fulham stories that made us all laugh. Come on, give us another Fulham story for our Fulham fans here. Come on.
The best. Let me interrupt this. The best one involves you as well. So.
Oh no!
Yeah, I've been playing with Alan Mallory and Bobby Moore, so I was used to superstars, and all of a sudden Rodney and George Best turn up. And the first week's training, Rodney said, Les, he said, I've seen you play, he said. Now, when you get the ball, I'll hit the line and you just find me, and me and George will do all the work and you just support us. I said, oh, fine, Rodney, I'm happy with that. First time I get the ball, I look up, Rodney's hit the line. I've knocked him a 30-yard ball. It lands a foot to his right and he watches it go out of play. I hit him another ball. Next time I get the ball, I hit him another 30-yard ball. About a foot to his left, he watches it go out of play. He did it all the first half, went over his head 6 inches, didn't even try, not a leg. Didn't put his leg out to stop the ball. So we get in at half time. Bobby Campbell's our manager. He says, Les, you're knocking Rodney some lovely balls. Well done. Keep it up. Rodney, Les is knocking you some nice balls, but you're a little bit static out there. Let's have you move around a bit. Let's have you get in behind the defender. Les can slide you the ball. Come inside. Les can slide you the ball. Check forward and come back. Les can give you the ball. But let's have you moving around a bit, Rodney. Rodney went, boss, if he can't find me when I'm standing still, he'll never find me if I'm moving. All the lads fell about laughing.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
And that is an actual true story. Yeah.
And I'd like to just quickly add on to that. Then he comes to our place, right?
Oh no.
And it's exactly the same.
No.
So he hasn't changed. You never learned anything, Rodney, did you?
No, clearly not. I've invited you on.
I had, I don't know if I would love to have played under Roy, of course, but I had 4 managers in my career. First one was Bill Dodgin. Didn't really have much to do with him really because I wasn't in the first team, and there was a theme running for all the managers because I liked a little laugh and a joke. Alex Stock used to say, look at me and say, how you ever became a footballer, I do not know. He said, you've got the worst legs I've ever seen. He said, and if my wife didn't like you, you wouldn't be playing. So that was one manager. Bobby Campbell. We used to train at Roehampton, and my mum used to live in the council house, the council estate at the back of the training ground, and she literally walked 20 yards, come out of her house, and there was a mesh fence, and Bobby Campbell always had us training there because she used to give him a cup of tea and a bacon sandwich every morning. And Bobby Campbell dismantled the cup final team, and I was the only one left. And he called me up to his office and he said, come up and see me. I thought, well, I'm on my way, definitely. He said, now you can see what I'm doing here, he said, and I've got to be honest. He said, I've tried to sell you. He said, and I've had no luck. He said, and I tried to give you away. He said, but nobody wants you. He said, your mum makes the best bacon sandwich I've ever had. You sign that 4-year contract and get out of my office.
Hilarious.
I said, oh, thanks.
That's the best story of the day, by the way.
So far.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Then Malcolm, of course, took over. Me and Tony Gale used to drive him mad, really. We used to have this magnetic board. You'd probably go mad at this one, right? We used to have a magnetic board, and me and Gailey used to peel all the magnet bits off the back. So you've got all these little discs with a number on it. So every time we put a number,
You rotter!
It'd fall off.
You rotter!
and we'd all go, hooray! Ray Lou was in on it. Ray Lou was in on it, by the way. And we got to about 5 arrays before we realised something had gone wrong. But he put in the programme, he said, I've made Les Strong, this is manager's notes. He said, I've made Les Strong my captain. He said, he's the most consistent player I've ever known as a player and my short term as a manager.
That's unbelievable.
Well, there you go.
They got me back a little bit there.
That's great for your self-esteem, isn't it?
I was all right, it didn't matter to me. I was okay with it.
Listen, guys, we're gonna take a short step aside, and when we come back at the Legends Lounge, we're going to be talking to Roy Hodgson and Les Strong. And when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about the World Cup, countdown to the World Cup, and maybe we can get Roy to tell us a few funny stories when he was the England manager. So come back with us here on the Legends Lounge.